was going to say thank the choir. I always said thank the choir after an anthem, and so I thank my person who comes and finds this all for us. And I think Elaine and Dick took quite a while trying to find that one. Come on, need to be louder. As I said, it's Palm Passion Sunday, so we have a little bit of a passion reading, but not all of it, more of the Last Supper. Um, so I'll be reading from John 13, 1 through 17, and jumping 33, 35. Hear the word of the Lord. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he went up from the meal, took off his outer garment, wrapped the towel around his waist, and after that he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," Peter said, "you'll never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash your feet, you will have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need not only wash their feet. They are whole in body. And you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him. And that was why he said to everyone was not always clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "Do you understand what I have done for you?" he asked them. "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I am your Lord and teacher, has washed your feet, you also should wash the feet of one another. I have set for you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you'll be blessed if you do them." Jumping to 33. "My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, so I tell you now, where I'm going, you cannot come. A new command I give you. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another." The word of God for the people. Like the children's time, um, we actually do celebrate a lot of things that we don't fully understand or really haven't witnessed firsthand. I mean, everybody loves the 4th of July picnic and barbecue. Maybe some veterans have a little inkling, but no one was there. No one knew what price was really paid back at the time of our founding fathers. We celebrate Memorial Day, and many of us who had an opportunity to serve don't really understand some of the horrors of being up close and personal with war. And that's not watching the color TV either. I'm talking about having the boomers land next to you. My roommate and person I worked with at the airport for a while, he said in his barracks, Every night, you never knew what was going to happen. Sometimes a rocket attack would hit the base, and they were literally thrown out of bed. And I said, so these rockets were like fireworks? And he goes, 100 times worse. They want to kill you. So we don't always understand, but we do like to celebrate. It is Palm Sunday after all. And it's the same back then. Most of the people celebrated, there's Jesus coming in on a donkey. Now, they wanted a great leader, and they were celebrating it. This preacher, this words of Messiah, this healer, this great teacher, a rabbi, have been amazing people. It started off as a little hearsay here and there, and now it's turning into quite an uproar. And so when he comes, Jesus knew what this meant when he was coming in. He knew he was marking his time. So he's coming in on a donkey. Donkey. The king of creation. Of all eternity. Humble donkey. Always setting examples for his disciples as far as humility. Kings at the time would come in either on some fancy cart or a big white stallion, and there he's on a little donkey. But that doesn't make any difference. The people took their palms and they started waving them, and they would shout, Hosanna. Hosanna means save us. And it isn't the first time they did this. That's probably why the Pharisees and Sadducees and those people in power are saying, oh, no, not again. It didn't turn out too well last time. Rather than give a whole long history lesson, I made a copy, I'm making some copies of an article, and it kind of fills in what you might be missing in the Bible story. You go through Malachi, and all of a sudden, the gospel starts. All of a sudden, you got Sadducees and Pharisees, and the Romans are there, and yet in Malachi, the last book of the Old Testament, they just came back from the Persian Empire, was still in control, but they were letting them rebuild their temple, and everything's fine. Well, much like our world, a lot can happen in 400 years. And there was a period of time after the Greeks had conquered them, there was a period of time where some of their own people did throw them out and wave Hosanna, and they were praising. But it didn't last very long when the Romans came. If you're interested in that, I've already started. If you're interested in that, I'll have some copies made. I found a digital copy, so I printed them out. So I would recommend reading that because it fills in and you can understand the tension that was going on in Jesus' day and what he was facing. Kind of like the tension that's going on in Ukraine. Oh, some people might ask us, why aren't we just going in? They have nuclear weapons. We're torn. And that's what this crowd is. They want. They think they need a Messiah to throw out the Romans. One more time, another conquering. Jesus spent 3 years with his disciples, reimagining what it means to be humble, what it means to be a leader in God's kingdom, what it means to be Jewish, to be Christian. He's trying to give us a new way, and it's so hard for them, and it's so hard for us to understand what that upside down preaching and teaching that he had meant of service and washing of feet. Well, that's a servant's job. Your master and your Lord washed your feet. It's 3 years, and his disciples who were there day in and day out and saw it. This is even more than some of the prophets and other great leaders. Even Moses didn't heal everybody and all. They're seeing him heal. They're seeing him preach truth like you hear it here. That's how you hear truth when Jesus' word is spoken. And yet, they still didn't understand. And then we know the rest of the story between now and Easter. So much more so with the rest of the people in the crowds. So what has changed in 3 years? Well, I see a parallel with us today. We're coming up on the 3-year mark of COVID. It was Palm Sunday of 2020. That Friday when I was preparing in that office, some of our leaders got together, made some calls and stuff and said, we've got to cancel this. So just before the celebration, we shuttered our doors and started a long process of sheltering in place and trying to reimagine what it all means. It's 3 years later, roughly. And here we are trying to get back to normal. Jesus was trying to tell them that their new normal, their expectations weren't exactly what God had in mind. Our normal, if it was joyous, if it was kind and loving and caregiving, that's the part we bring forward. If it's a tradition or if it's this person in person or group in power versus another one, that isn't how it means. That isn't how it works. The grace that Jesus was giving us that we couldn't grasp, they couldn't grasp, is the same type of place where we are now. The difference is Jesus' death on that cross has showed us, just like washing the feet of his disciples, he showed us a better way. Showed us what the kingdom can be and will be at some point, but we don't have to wait and say we'll do our thing here until the kingdom comes to us. For every person that's here, that slowly but surely, day after day, fights that battle of what it means to be a little more Christian, a little more Christ-like, then the kingdom comes a little closer here. We see that kind of joy over in Ukraine with a little birthday gift, with a teddy bear, with people fleeing for their lives and then turning around and saying, what's important? I'm bringing my daughter back home and we're heading home to find my mother or my husband. They're going to try to start over again. Yeah, my building's all burnt out. We're going to start over again. That's courageous. That's the battle we have on a daily basis. I think I'll end with a story. A lot of times we do things that you're supposed to not know what one hand is, letting the other hand know what you're doing. But the second Friday of the month, 4 or 5 of us pastors get together and we have breakfast over at a little coffee shop. Actually, kind of big one. And kind of like the waitress we were doing over on the side, they're just looking at customers. We sit there and say, what are you doing for Easter? What are you doing for Palm Sunday? Who's giving you grief? Who's not giving you grief? How are things going? And how is it with your soul? We cover all that stuff. And that can degrade a little bit into a pity party, if you want to call it that. And I had a doctor's appointment Friday right afterwards. So I told the waitress, I said, can I have my check early? And because I need to leave before these other guys do. And she came back with it. And so we said, time to go, guys. So we all prayed. Held our hands and prayed. And she, apparently, I didn't know where she was, but apparently she stood back. So we prayed. I was getting up, putting my coat on. And she said, I hate, and they were all conversing. And she said, I don't want to bother you, but interrupt, but I got a question for you. Because I couldn't help watch you guys hold hands and pray in public on a diner. Well, the truth be told, we talked about it, and we didn't always do that. But, a bunch of pastors all get together. We have to put on a good front. But we did. You don't know what's going on there. She noticed that. Almost tears in her eyes. She said, my family and my husband and I, we wanted to do this. And we never could quite do it. I feel the need for that. What do I do? What's wrong? And by the time I'm on and I got to get going, I go, I got to go, but I I said, if you hear in your heart that you need to be doing this, that you want this prayer, then that's grace working in you. The fact that you aren't doing it, oh, that's the rest of us. We all do that on a daily basis. It's something we have to fight. The more you accept the grace, the more you'll be able to do it. First, you'll do it at home, then you'll be able to do it in public. Give her that quick prayer that we'll probably use here for dinner, and away I went. Well, she was getting, I gave a card, the guy says, write the prayer down for her. Give it to her, please. And I went to cash out. Well, she ran over there and thanked me. And I said, no, thank you. I said, I was leaving in a mood of grumpy, I guess you would say, worried about a doctor's appointment, worried about what's going on, preparing for service and stuff. And I said, you showed us why we're here and why we do this. I said, I hope you take that prayer and I hope you grow. We'll be back in 4 weeks. Let us know how it works. You don't know what your Christianity looks like to the outside. If we sat there and grumbled too loud, too long, other people could hear it. If they hear us praying together, making plans in tough times and how we're going to help folks, that keeps the curiosity. And that's the kind of thing that the world doesn't understand. I like the part where the stone that the builders rejected is the one chosen by God. Have we taken our spirituality and taken Jesus and kind of reimagined it, made it comfortable, rounded off the edges, make it manageable? So it's just one more stone in the wall of our spirituality instead of being the cornerstone, which is something you always come back for a reference to. Our opening prayer was actually Psalm 114, or most of it, kind of edited. The stone that the builders rejected became everything, the foundation. We're here to point our foundation, if you're a mason, to check our wall to see in reference to our cornerstone. The last 3 years have shaken us up, just like the last 3 years of Jesus' time on earth were stirring things up. They had to let go in order to understand what Jesus was saying. We had an opportunity, we're in the middle of an opportunity to reimagine what it means to be Christ-like, what it means to be worshiping, what joy is, what servanthood is, what giving is. That's what we're doing. That's the opportunity we have. But like anything else, you have to let go of something to take something new. We have to choose. I had my 2 little grandpups over the other day, and generally they're highly food motivated, but one more so than the other. And one will even eat the food the other, so we have to take turns making sure they get their food. Anyways, I turned around, I went out and got some, besides the dry little dog food, I had a bag of treats. She had finished her food, she was already into the other dog's food, and then she heard the crinkle and saw that I had the dog biscuit. I've never seen her do that before. She goes, oh. She spit out all over the floor. There's a mouthful of these little nasty dog pellets. And she was sitting there, I want that dog biscuit, that cookie. It's a strange illustration. But when you see an opportunity or you hear that little thing inside, it's an opportunity. You just gotta kind of let go of what you're doing and reach for it. I told the waitress, it's a lifelong lesson. You're fortunate that you're hearing it. All of it. That's the gospel. Amen.